With summer right around the corner, you may have some travel plans. And with that, you want to look good and feel good in your skin. This is how my client, Amanda, went on vacation and kept her results without restricting anything on vacation. So before we begin, let me introduce you to Amanda. We have been working together for years now, and every spring break, her and her family go on a cruise together. And this cruise is typically a 10-day cruise where she, before the cruise, wants to lose weight, feel good, look good in a bathing suit. And so she used to crash diet, lose a bunch of weight, go on vacation, and gain it all back. After we started working together, it was very similar. We would have a better approach to her losing weight, but then she would go on vacation and enjoy herself, coming back from vacation, extending that vacation into her normal life. And we would blink and a month would go by and she would be feeling very run down, have weight gain, feeling puffy, feeling very bloated and inflamed. And she knew that this was not the way she wanted to continue to live with this yo-yoing. So instead of losing weight to go on vacation, to just gain it all back and do it all over again, over and over again, she wanted to quit that pattern. And so we focused on that exact method to make sure she could go on vacation this year for spring break, feeling amazing, looking amazing, and then coming back and not having all of her hard work wasted. This was not a crash diet. This was something that took about a year of us working on together to get to this point. And why I say that is because we needed to build a lot of foundational habits that she was kind of missing in her life, whether that was steps, whether that was how are we eating, even though things are busy, things are really wild in our life. Whether that was not doing the fast food, but feeling more prepared. We had some foundational work that we really needed to put into place before we could really go into a weight loss phase and keep it off. Our theme going into this phase was intentionality and foundations, and we focused on three things. The first thing we focused on was movement in the form of walking. She is a very, very busy woman. She drives her kids everywhere. They are in a lot of activities. They are in a school that is outside of their district, so she has to take them to and from school. She also works from home, but she's high up in her company and on back-to-back meetings all of the time. So she doesn't have a ton of time to go get a workout in, to take a lot of steps. And we knew that if she wanted to lose weight, movement was going to be very important for her. So we set that goal. We set a goal of how many steps per day she needs to be taking. And when we realized that those steps per day were actually kind of messing with her mindset, we took that goal away and actually changed it to how can you get a walk in per day? And I knew that if she was able to get a walk in, even if it was 20 minutes, even if it was a full hour, if she could get that walk in, she would hit the steps that we wanted her to hit every single day. And so most days she was able to get walks in and start building that foundation of walking, even if it was before work, after work, for lunch to break things up, she prioritized her walking. Number two, we focused on flexible tracking. She's been tracking for years and years of her life on and off. She is a pro with tracking. She knows how to track. But when it came down to it, I wanted to give her a little bit of grace and a little bit of room for thinking for herself of how to get these calories and these macros. And so instead of tracking her protein, carbs, and fats, we only focused on the calories and the protein, and wherever those carbs and fats fell was where they felt. And she felt amazing doing that. Amazing. Taking those other two off, though it feels very small to take them off, it gave her so much more space in her brain to worry about other things, like how she was going to hit her protein or where her calories were coming from. We really did this for several months, getting used to the flexible tracking before we even went into the deficit together. Like I said, she had tracked before, so she was a pro, but this just gave her some space from tracking that really was refreshing for her. Then, when she went into her deficit, she still used flexible tracking with just her calories and her protein. And of course, my eyes were on her carbs and fats as well. So if I saw anything funky, I would let her know. But for the most part, she was just spot on and beautiful. And those were the two that really mattered for us with her goals and where she was at that place. And number three, we focused on her stress management and putting herself first. So, like I mentioned, she is a very, very busy woman. She is packed every single hour has a meeting, has something going on, is picking up the kids, is driving them somewhere. She is just very, very busy. And she gets very stressed to the point where her weekends are packed with kids' activities. And then there are some Sundays where she literally does not move from the couch. And we started looking at the steps and we noticed it was like 1,000 steps per day. And so she would kind of crash out on Sundays when they didn't have kids' activities going on. So I wanted her to start putting herself first. She took a new position a couple years ago that was supposed to give her a little bit more room for taking her daughters to activities, to not having her work overtime. And slowly over time, she ended up working more and more and more, taking on more and more and more, and was very stressed. With that stress, we also know that it brings higher cortisol, which brings weight gain, and that is what we were trying to avoid. So, though I cannot tell her, go and quit your job, that is not realistic, or don't take your kids to their activities, also not realistic. We started focusing on stress management and boundaries. So, how can we make sure that you're logging off at a certain time? How can we take a look at your calendar and know that you cannot add another meeting or another project onto your calendar? Where can we push back? How can we start collaborating with your company to make sure that you are getting what you need while they are also getting what they need? And most importantly, she was not putting herself first. She was putting her daughters first. Totally understandable. Kids definitely need to come first. She was putting her daughters first. She was putting her company first. She was putting this other thing first that she didn't even want to do. Everything came before herself. And so now, and this is something where it's years and years of programming in her mind of like put everyone else first. And it's still stuff that we work on today to detangle. But we wanted to build those boundaries. When we talked about intentionality and foundations, this part came into it big time because we wanted those boundaries. We wanted the foundation for her to say no, or for her to understand how much more she could actually take onto her plate versus she's at capacity and can't do any more than she already is. And so we really just focused on these big three. And while we were in the maintenance phase, we focused on the big three. While we went into the deficit, as those foundations were already built, she was able to lose weight pretty quickly. And as spring break was getting closer, we knew that we didn't want her to be in a deficit over spring break because you're on a cruise, you have access to all of this amazing food, drinks, etc. I wanted to make sure that she was able to fully enjoy the cruise. And I also just didn't want her to be in a deficit, like under eating and not really enjoying it. And so what I did was I brought her back to maintenance right before her cruise started. She went on her cruise, and she enjoyed herself. And I'm going to talk about the rules in a second of what we kind of put into place so she could enjoy herself. And then when she came back, she had a little bit of weight gain just from the travel, from the inflammation, from potentially having a couple more mommy drinks or desserts than she is used to. But she came back and that weight came off pretty immediately and she was back to it, back to normal, feeling herself. So though I am not somebody who is like, we need rules on vacation, that is not my jam at all. She asked me to give her a couple guidelines that would help her with staying on track. So she didn't come back being 10 or 15 pounds heavier, which has happened to her in the past with vacations. So rule number one that I gave her was eating protein at every single big meal. This was breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I want some type of protein in all of those meals. While we were doing this, she was not tracking her food. I asked her not to track, and she was okay with that. We did not track, but She knew enough about nutrition that she knew that protein is actually the key to helping to keep her full, helping to keep the body she wants. And so, protein at every single big meal was easy for her to get. Guideline number two was deciding between a mommy drink or dessert. So it was very easy for her in the past to do all of it because it's so accessible there on the cruise. You can grab the drinks, you can grab the desserts. You're like, everything is right there. I told her this is probably where we get into trouble because it is so easy to get. So just having that awareness of, okay, tonight I'm going to have a couple mommy drinks, so I'm going to skip on the dessert. Or I really do want dessert, so I'm going to have the dessert. And full transparency, she did both some nights. So that's fine too. I just wanted her most nights to pick one or the other so we weren't getting these high caloried foods that were going to bring on the weight. And the biggest rule that we had was not even about the trip. It was when you get home, immediately get back to it. So I had her order groceries. I had her really plan her meal, plan out when she's going to get her walks in, making sure that she was getting back into work, but then also prioritizing herself, prioritizing her sleep, not just jumping straight back into being stressed all the time. And by doing this, she was able to just get back into that routine that she was like nicely had before she went on vacation. And it wouldn't extend that vacation longer where she would continue to gain weight or feel tired or be even more off of her routine and her schedule. And with getting back into town, I asked her, please stay off of the scale for a couple days. Again, when we are traveling, we do gather a lot of inflammation in our body, and that's going to show up on the scale. And a lot of times that really does mess with our mindset of, wow, I just like went on vacation and blew it all. She did not do that. She went on vacation. She had a great time, made memories with her family, and came back. And sure, that scale is going to be a little bit higher, but by immediately getting back into it and not getting on the scale and then being like, well, who cares? Like the weight's up anyways. She was able to have a good mindset about getting back into the swing of things. So just for proof that this is actually a real story, these are her numbers from before vacation into vacation and how her weight and her inches were decreasing. And then right after vacation, they were spot on, easily back to it. So I love to see it. I think that we should be able to go on vacation, enjoy ourselves, and not see a massive amount of weight gain. And because summer is right around the corner, it is very easy for us to start thinking now about, oh, I need to do X, Y, and Z to lose weight, to look good in shorts, to wear a bathing suit, whatever that story is that we have in our head about what needs to happen. And I'm here to tell you that just building on your foundations and being very intentional around how you approach your nutrition, fitness, and lifestyle will help you in the long run before the vacation, during the vacation, and after the vacation to keep the body that you are working so hard for. What is your biggest challenge when you travel and when you get back from travel? Is it the hormonal symptoms that come up, the inflammation, getting back into your routine and habits? Let me know in the comments. And that is all I have for you on Hormone Happy Hour. I will talk to you next time. Cheers.